Alhamdulillah, wassalatu wassalamu ala Rasulullah wa ala alihi wa sahbihi wa ala. Thumma amma ba'd. Honorable Sheikh Abdurrahman Al-Omaisan, Hafidhahullah, reminded us of an important matter. Hafidhahullah started by saying what means that this religion of Allah and the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for us. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded us to worship Him subhanahu wa ta'ala, and He subhanahu wa ta'ala made two conditions for any act of worship to be accepted. That there are two conditions that must be fulfilled for any act of worship to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. That the act of worship is sincere, and that it is done sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. For any act of worship that is not done sincerely for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that is done for other than Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then it is not accepted from the person, and it is waste, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the meaning of the verse. And we came to that which they have done from actions, and we made it like dust. And so it becomes of no weight and no value if it is not done for the sake of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So this is the first condition. And the second condition for any act of worship to be accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is that it is in accordance to the sunnah, to the way of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. That the person does not innovate in the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, does not change anything in the act of worship, but whether it is when it is done, or its amount, its numbers, and so on and so forth. In any description of the act of worship, it must be in accordance to the way of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Otherwise, it will not be accepted. The Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he said, what means whomsoever does an act of worship that this religion of ours is not upon, then it is rejected from him. And so the act of worship itself becomes rejected and is not accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if it is not in accordance to the way of the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. And this is general for all acts of worship that a person does. And one of those acts of worship, and one of the greatest pillars of Islam, the third pillar of the religion of Islam, the pillar of Zakat, of giving the obligatory charity or giving alms. And this is one of the greatest pillars of Islam. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated this pillar of Islam as a purification and as an increase in one's wealth, and as a purification of any improper and impermissible wealth that one has. It purifies one's wealth, it purifies the person, it purifies his wealth, and increases him in goodness and in wealth, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said in the meaning of the verse. Take from their wealth zakat, obligatory charity, or sadaqat, charities by which you purify them and you increase them with it, and make supplication to them, make supplication to Allah for them. For your supplication increases them in comfort and peace. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam to take from the sadaqat of the people. And this is from the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, from the pillars of Islam, to take the sadaqat are given, the charities, the obligatory charities are given from the rich to the poor, from the rich to the needy. As when the Messenger sallallahu alayhi wa sallam, he sent Mu'adh bin Jabal, may Allah be pleased with him, he sent him to Yemen and to the people of Yemen, and he said to him, you are going to the people of the book, so inform them that the first thing you call them to is to testify that there is none worthy of worship except Allah, or to make the two testimonies, to enter into the religion of Islam. And if they obey you in that, then inform them of the 5 daily prayers that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala obligated upon them. And if they obey you in that, then inform them that Allah has obligated upon them a charity, an obligatory charity that is taken from the rich and is given to their poor. And this is what the obligatory charity is. It is taken from the rich and given to the poor, as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated it. And it is based upon one's wealth. And it does not matter if the person is old or young. Because if a person takes care of an orphan who has wealth, it is obligatory upon the person who is taking care of the orphan to take from his wealth and give it to the needy, to give the zakat, the obligatory zakat from the wealth, from the money of the orphan. And so this is from the religion of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and from the rights of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in regards to the wealth. And it is given, and there are different types of obligatory charity based upon one's wealth. So if one has wealth in the form of currency, gold or silver or currency, because currency is nothing but gold or silver, or is a representation of gold and silver. So if one has wealth of gold or silver that reaches a specific amount of 85 grams of gold or 600 grams of silver or the equivalent of that in currency, then and he has the amount for an entire year, then it is upon the person to give zakat al-mal, to give the obligatory charity from this wealth every year. And it is a quarter of a tenth, which is equivalent to 2.5%, that the person should give away to the needy and to the poor from that wealth. And likewise, if a person has given out money as a loan to some people, then if he expects to collect the money back, then he must give the zakah for it. Whereas if he does not expect it back, meaning that he gave the loan and he doesn't think that the person he gave it to will ever return it, or will return it when he asks him for it, then in that case, he does not give it back until he collects. And the second type is merchandise. If a person, for example, owns the store or owns property that is specific that he intends to sell, such as if a person bought some property and wants to wait until its value goes up, or if a person owns, for example, a store or a warehouse or whatever it is, and he has merchandise that he wants to sell, that he intends to sell, then the merchandise itself, not the store, not the location, but rather the merchandise or the property that is prepared to be sold, he must give zakat al-mal from it, or he must give the obligatory charity from it every year. And he should evaluate the merchandise he has with its retail value, not its purchase value, meaning the value that he wants to sell it for, what it's worth if he was to sell it. And he gives 2.5% from that value as obligatory charity. And if a person owns a restaurant or other than this, where he has no merchandise that is prepared to be sold, then he does not give zakat al-mal, he does not give obligatory charity for the building, for example, or the utensils, or the kitchen equipment, fridges and whatever it is, ovens, whatever it is, he does not have to give obligatory charity from it, because those are not merchandise that are prepared to be sold, and rather this is equipment that he uses for the preparation of food. And likewise, a truck driver, if one has trucks, for example, and he rents them out, or he has his own truck, he does not, unless he intends to sell the truck, and he has trucks to sell, then this is merchandise that is sold. But if he uses those trucks, for example, to rent them out, or if a person owns properties that he rents out, then he does not give the zakat, the obligatory charity from those properties, because this is not merchandise that is sold, and rather this is rental properties. And he only gives zakat al-mal if he has the 85 grams of gold or an equivalent amount in currency, and he has it and he holds on to it for more than a year. Then he gives zakat al-mal for the money, for the currency, not for the properties. And also from the forms of zakat is the obligatory charity on livestock and on crops, and they have their own rulings. And so we must know that this zakat, the obligatory charity, is from the pillars of Islam, and it is an act of worship which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala accepts based upon the conditions, and it must be fulfilled based upon the legislation of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us how is it given, and that it is taken in the way it is, such as that it is given in the form of currency or gold, and it is not given as food, as we hear nowadays that they give food baskets as zakat al-mal. This is not permissible. And if one claims that the needy, they do not need, or they should not be given wealth and money because they don't know how to spend it, then someone who knows what to buy for them should be appointed for them, and it should be given in the form of money. And then that person who is appointed will buy what they need and give it to them. But as for zakat al-mal, it should be given as money, as wealth, because this is how it is legislated. And also, it is also legislated, and it is obligatory for the women to give, if they have the amount, to give even from the gold that they wear. If they have more than 85 grams of gold, or close to 600 grams of silver, that they should give it. They should give zakat al-mal. They should give the obligatory charity from the jewelry that they own and they wear. Because the Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he saw a woman who was wearing gold bracelets, and he asked her sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and may Allah be pleased with her, he asked her, do you give the zakat, the charity, obligatory charity, or the alms of this gold, of this jewelry, of those bracelets? And she said no. And he asked her, does it please you that you would be punished with bracelets of the hellfire on the day of judgment? And she said no. And so the woman, it is obligatory to give out the zakah for their jewelry if it equals the amount. And one from the women should not make an excuse and say that her husband does not give it away on her behalf, because it is an obligation upon her. Yes, if her husband wants to give away on her behalf, then it is from his own generosity. But what is obligatory is for her to give it. If her husband does not do so out of his generosity. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, not only did He tell us and teach us how or what to give, also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala told us whom to give the zakat to. And there are 8 types of people who are given from zakat al-mal. There's no other than those 8 types. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned them and told us who they are. Al-fuqara wal-masakin. Al-fuqara are those who have nothing. Al-masakin who have a little bit of wealth, but it is not sufficient for them throughout the year. And those who work, those who are employed upon it, meaning those whom the Muslim ruler has appointed to go and collect a zakat, the obligatory charity, or to distribute it. And this is not, it does not mean the imam of the masajid. It does not mean non-profit organizations or charity organizations. Those are not appointed by the imam. This is the one who is appointed by the imam to go and evaluate. For example, they go to the deserts and they look at the livestock of the people and they evaluate the zakah and they collect it from them. Or they go to farms and evaluate the crops and so on and so forth. And this is hard work. work that they do, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala legislated for them that they are eligible to receive some of it. And they are given from the Muslim ruler. So those are not professional fundraisers as we hear today, those who take percentages of that which they collect. This is not permissible, and this is impermissible wealth that they take from the rights of the poor and the needy. And so Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned this is the third type. And also the new Muslims, or those whom the Muslims hope that they will enter into Islam, they are eligible to receive some of Zakat al-Mal. And al-Riqab, those are either war prisoners, Muslim war prisoners, that they are bought back with wealth, or they are slaves who want to become free, that they are given from the obligatory charity so that they can buy themselves back and become free. And also Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala mentioned fi sabilillah, for the fight for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And this is not to be given, as we hear today also, that they are given for the building of mosques or schools or roads or hospitals and so on and so forth. This is not what is meant, and rather this is for the preparation and the establishment of Muslim armies and for the fighting for the cause of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And finally, it is fi sabilillah. This is it. And so we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to rectify our affairs and to teach us that which is beneficial to us, and to allow us and permit us to act upon that which He taught us. وصلى الله وسلم وبارك على نبينا محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه أجمعين.